All right, how we doing? I said, how we doing, people? I know it's Sunday morning. Have y'all had y'all's Bloody Marys yet? That's y'all's problem. Y'all ain't had a Bloody Mary yet. Neither have I, by the way. I'm supposed to be kind of working a little bit. Yeah. So, my name's Chef Patrick Mould. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. Yeah. Who said that? Who hollered Lafayette? Yeah, you been to Lafayette? Awesome. Yesterday?
Yeah.
You were in Lafayette yesterday?
Yeah, ULL graduation.
You're raising Cajun?
No, I'm not, but my cousin is.
Okay, that's close enough. We have any LSU Tiger fans in the crowd, alumni in the crowd? Oh man, I'm sorry. It's a big rivalry, you know, between the University of Louisiana, Lafayette, and Louisiana State University. Heaven forbid the two shall meet at some point, you know. But anyway, my name's Patrick Mould. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, and this is Chef Michael Fitzgerald, who is from Mesa Community College.
Closer this time, San Diego Mesa.
San Diego Mesa. I kept calling it Costa Mesa yesterday. I don't know why that was. Michael's been doing this for 12 years as a volunteer, and he's been awesome. This is my first time working with him, meeting him. And we chatted over the phone and via email and text, and we managed to pull all this together. And so my mission here is to, everybody say it with me. Yeah, all right. Because Louisiana seafood is some of the best seafood in the world, and I'm not saying that just because they're paying me to say it. Okay, I actually truly believe it. And there's a really scientific reason as to why our seafood is so much better than a lot of other places. And it's because the mighty Mississippi flows all the way up from Minnesota and carries all the nutrients down to Louisiana, goes through the Atchafalaya, down to New Orleans, feeds the estuaries along. We have 7,700 miles of Gulf Coast where we land the majority of the seafood that is consumed in the continental United States. Even ahead of California. I'm just saying, okay? We're finally #1 in something, and it's landing seafood. We beat California. Did I mention that? We beat California in the amount of seafood we land.
All weekend, yes.
And so it carries all the nutrients down to the Atchafalaya swamp, freshwater seafood like the Crawfish Etouffee, like the crawfish tails I'm going to serve you today. The ball crawfish that's happening over there from the guy from Lawtell, Louisiana. And so it feeds the estuaries all the nutrients that it needs, and it flows from fresh water to salt water. So as you go along, you've got crawfish, alligator, which I'll be doing later on today, alligator andouille sauce piquant. You got freshwater brim and sockeye and bass, and so you have really a turtle. You have all these great freshwater seafoods that come out of Louisiana. Then you flow into the Gulf of Mexico, and you get your Gulf shrimp. I'll be doing the Gulf shrimp, Merleton corn, makshu this afternoon, later today, I think at 3:30. And so you got Gulf shrimp and blue crabs and red snapper and redfish and tuna and all these saltwater fishes that come out of the Gulf of Mexico, and saltwater seafoods that come out of the Gulf of Mexico. So you have the best of both worlds. You got all this freshwater seafood, then you have all these saltwater seafood. And you always want to make sure you're buying domestic. A lot of times what happens is the imports have a tendency to pretend like they look like our products. For instance, if you look at some of the crawfish that's in the markets, the front of the package is going to look very Cajun. You know, it's going to look, it's going to be so-and-so's Cajun crawfish or whatever. But if you flip the package over and you look at the fine print at the bottom of the package, you'll probably see something like product of China or product of Thailand or product of Spain. And, you know, it's just not as good as our fresh Louisiana crawfish tails. Now, I got a lot of questions yesterday as to where do I find fresh or frozen Louisiana crawfish tails. And you just go to your local seafood guy and you say, hey man, can you bring me in some fresh or frozen crawfish tails? And they will if they know there's a market for it. So we produce 100% of the crawfish consumed in the continental United States comes out of Louisiana, and that's a freshwater product. We have two sources. One is rice fields that we flooded, where they put out the little cages and they check in, but crawfish check in, but they can't check out. One of those deals, And then you have the Atchafalaya Basin, which is the largest swamp. National swamp in continental United States, where you have the wild catch of crawfish that usually starts around January, really gets rolling in February, March, April, May, and then when the weather starts warming up, the crawfish go into the ground for the summer to avoid the summer heat. So again, always make sure that you're buying domestic. There's a couple things. You're getting the best, and this applies to whatever you eat. You're getting the best possible product if you buy domestic, because it's the one that's been produced the closest to you. And two, you're helping the economy. We're keeping all the money in the continental United States, and instead of shipping it back on a slow boat to China or Spain or wherever. And again, it just makes common sense that buying domestic is the best way to go. So, and if you want to, you can go to class. Good, y'all get good at that, I'll tell you what. And you can find all kind of resources and information on how to acquire seafood. You can get it shipped straight to your door. There are companies out there that'll ship any seafood, Gulf product, freshwater product, crawfish, alligator, straight to your front door. So if you go to LouisianaSeafood.com, and if you go to the booth back there, hey, you guys in the Louisiana booth, y'all paying attention? You!
LSU people.
Wait, hey, LSU people. Hey, LSU people. Hey, all right. If you go back there and you can register to, turn around and wave to the guys. They know he's not paying any attention. Hey, there he is. All right, hey. You go back there and find out all kind of information about Louisiana. You can also register for a free trip to my hometown, Lafayette, Louisiana. If you want, you can come October 11th through the 14th. Has anybody been to Festivals of Cajun at Creole? Well, that's a festival that I produce back in Lafayette, and it's the largest Cajun and Zydeco celebration in the world. And I can say that because I've never heard of another one, that's as big as ours. But I tell you, not to blow smoke, but I think what Vic and Kathleen and Peter and all the guys with Gator by the Bay have done is really has given y'all California a taste of Louisiana, because they bring in authentic bands, they bring in authentic chefs, they bring in artists. My friend Melissa Bonan and Henry Watson are over there. So they're bringing in people from Louisiana. So let's give them a round of applause for. So we're going to do crawfish etouffee, and etouffee in Cajun French means to smother. So we're going to smother the crawfish tails in some butter and onions that we've got sauteing here. And the original etouffee sauce was nothing more than butter, onions, a little salt and pepper, the crawfish tails, and in the old days they used to give you this little ice cream cup of crawfish fat, and you could buy every pound of crawfish came a little quarter cup of crawfish fat. Well, the government got involved. They don't do that anymore. So, but you have plenty of fat on the tails themselves to get the flavor. So we got our butter, onions, and I put a little bit of thyme. We're going to add some seasoning. We're going to add a little chopped garlic to the mix. And then I have some flour here somewhere. Yep. Like I said, in the old days, it would have been just butter and onions and the crawfish tails. But when chefs got involved, we started wanting to make what is called a velouté, which is a sauce, a classic sauce, which uses stock. And so what it did was allowed us to hold the etouffee sauce and then add the tails as we were serving it out of the kitchen to the customers. And chefs can't leave well enough alone. They have to embellish. And I'm gonna tell you right now, everything we do as chefs is really strictly embellishment. The basis for cooking was established a long time ago. So everything we do is embellishment, whether we want to believe it or not. So we're gonna go ahead and add our. What I did was I boiled off the shrimp for the shrimp milliton corn mock shoe that I'm gonna be cooking later today, and I saved the shrimp stock. So we're gonna whisk in our shrimp stock. Go ahead, oh yeah. Voila. So what we can do is let this simmer for a little bit, and it's going to thicken up nicely. We've got some cayenne pepper. I'm going to add. No, I'm kidding. It's paprika. I just want to see y'all's reaction. I can hear y'all in the background. Oh my God! Look at all that pepper. Oh my God! He's gone mad. Contrary to popular belief, our cuisine is not all about pepper. That's the biggest misnomer about our cuisine. Our cuisine, Cajun and Creole cooking, is about flavor first, then it's about the spice. You know, you want to taste the crawfish, or taste the shrimp, or taste the, whatever you're cooking first, the main ingredient, and then you want the spice to embellish, again, to add, you know, accent what it is you're tasting, not overpower it. A lot of people think all you gotta do is add, you know, cayenne pepper, and you're talking, you got Cajun cooking, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. But we are gonna add some hot sauce. So you do want, like I said, you want the flavor to come on, and then you want to add a little bit of spice at the end. So you should be hopefully you'll taste the crawfish first, and then then the spice will come on afterwards. I know some of y'all were here yesterday, but who wasn't? Cool. Cajun and Creole. The differences between Cajun and Creole cuisine. Basically, the Acadians settled in Acadie in Nova Scotia. Probably in the 1600s. They left France because of religious persecution, and they moved to Acadie. In 1755, we got any English people in here? Anybody of English descent? Oh, boo, 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 boo. Come on, help me out, boo. Actually, I've got some English blood in me too. My grandmother was a Romero, and she was Spanish and Native American and Indian. My grandfather was German. He was a Schecksnadder. My mother was a Schecksnadder from Creole, Louisiana. My uncle brought home my father, who was a Jerome Mould from Harrison, New Jersey, who is English and Irish descent. And he brought him home we were stationed at Fort Polk, and he brought him home one weekend for a visit, and the rest is history, as they say. But in 1755, the English went to Nova Scotia, and they decided that the Acadians had done such a great job with the land, and, you know, because it was kind of not a very good piece of land, but they through a series of dikes and dams, and they were farmers. They knew how to work the land. They created this very fertile piece of soil, right? And they were shipping all kind of produce and product and across the bay over to Boston and things like that. So they were thriving economically. So the British decided that they were going to pretty much ask all the men to come to the church under the guise of a meeting, and they wanted them to swear allegiance to the Queen of England. Well, the Acadians were very stubborn, hard-headed people, much like the Cajuns of today, and they wouldn't swear allegiance. And so the English pretty much burned them out. And if you know the story of Evangeline by Longfellow, that is the story of the Derangement. The British pretty much burned them out, separated families, put husbands and wives, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons on different ships, and sent them out to the four winds. It was a pretty tragic story. So some went back to France, some wandered the eastern seaboard for about 10 years, and then they landed in New Orleans. And at that time, the Spanish were ruling the city of New Orleans, and so they gave the Acadians land grants to where I'm from, Lafayette, to that area. We're in the process right now trying to discover the original site of where the Acadians lived, somewhere south of St. Martinville, but there's a dig going on right now to try and see if we can find the original site. St. Martinville's kind of claimed the site. They have the Evangeline Oak there and the statue of Evangeline. And a beautiful, beautiful church, St. Martin de Tours. So the Acadians settled in Lafayette, in that area. It became known as Cajun country. I don't care what the people from New Orleans tell you, they're not Cajun, okay? When you go over there and they tell you they're Cajun, don't listen to them, all right? So the Cajuns settled there. Their style of cooking was a lot more rustic and one-pot dishes. Remember, they were farmers, simple people. They worked the land. So gumbos, jambalaya, one-pot dishes. The Creoles, on the other hand, were anybody whose parents were from or not from Louisiana and they were born there were considered Creoles. So French, Spanish, African, of course, Italians, those were all people of Creole descent. So in New Orleans, you had the Creole thing happening, and what they were doing was, and the French, everything was based on the French style of cooking. So it was much more sophisticated. I swear, officer, I didn't do it. I was out kind of late last night. You know, things got a little out of hand. I'm just saying. Country come to town, you know? So, the Creole's style of cooking was much more sophisticated. Pan sautés of filet of pompano, nice sauces, shrimp remoulade. So again, but it had a mix of all these different ethnicities. Like I said, the Africans brought in okra, and the African word for okra is gumbo. So if you look at some of the early recipes for gumbo, they were all thickened with okra, and that gave you the body that you wanted. You think? Take a note. And so the Italians brought tomatoes and artichokes. The Spanish brought peppers. The Africans brought their style of cooking. Some people think that jollof, an African dish called jollof, may be the basis for jambalaya. Other people believe it's based on the Spanish paella, because the Spanish were cooking paellas at that time. So, so again, the Creole style of cooking is much more sophisticated than the Cajun style of cooking, but we're all using the same ingredients. So that's basically your quick, down and dirty. If anybody asks you, you know, Cajun, more rustic, a lot of one-pot dishes, Creole, more sophisticated, and a lot more ethnicities involved in the process. Although in our neck of the woods, we have Irish and German, Creole, you know, Africans, and so our Cajun style of cooking is also has a lot of ethnic influences. And you got to remember, when Cajun cooking came onto the scene in the 80s, that was when a guy by the name of James Beard would start talking about regional cuisine in the Americas. Everything at that point was based on the French style of cooking. You know, the French were so special, you know. I mean, the food was so good, and you know, the les Américains pas cook, you know, can't cook. But we started looking at, you know, places like the Southwest, up on the East Coast, all the great seafood happening up there. Guys like Wolfgang Puck in California, Chef Paul Perron down in Louisiana. I kind of grew up culinarily in that era of the 80s when regional cooking in America was being discovered. And so you had all these great regions throughout the Americas where you had this wonderful food. And so we said, why are we eating, you know, what the French insist we eat? We're going to eat our own cooking. Now, there's still some places that haven't gotten it in this country from a food perspective, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, we have a lot of great food in America. And Cajun and Creole, in my humble opinion, is one of the best out of all of them. And I'm not just saying that because they pay me, I'm saying it because it's true. So, we're going to add our crawfish to the mix. And y'all are special because I didn't use as much yesterday for that crowd, so y'all getting the whole enchilada today. That crowd yesterday, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but man, they're not near as nice as y'all. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. That's a blonde roux. We added a little bit, you know, when you start making 3, 4, 5 time batches, sometimes the ingredients, you gotta play around with them. And so we didn't have, it wasn't quite creamy enough for me. So this is a butter and flour mixture that you can use to thicken anything. The French called it a beurre manie, where you knead butter and flour together. But so this is butter and flour, and then if you want to make a sauce or a soup, you use that as a thickener. Not cooperating. Any other questions? Yes.
Are those crawfish from China or
Oh, blasphemy, woman! All right, security. Where's security? I want this woman escorted out of the building immediately. You obviously came to class late today. Yeah, everybody. What's the key word? No, those are crawfish tails, fresh crawfish tails from Abbeville, Louisiana, which is only about a 15-minute ride from my hometown of Lafayette. So yes, no. Not Chinese. Not Chinese. Boo, Chinese. I mean, not Chinese people personally. I'm just saying. Just y'all's crawfish. No, we'll be using all Gulf Louisiana seafood today, just in case you come back and want to ask that question again. You know. Yeah, right. No, that's my rosacea, actually, and my blood. Yeah, my blood, and a little bit of blood pressure. Yeah. Any other questions while this summer? Yes, ma'am.
where do you eat etouffee in Lafayette?
Where do I what?
Where do you eat etouffee in Lafayette?
Where do I? My house. I gave up the restaurant business a long time ago, but I was a chef at Cafe. If you're familiar with Lafayette, I was a chef at Cafe Vermillionville. I opened up Charlie G's, which had the first exposed kitchen in Lafayette, and then I co-owned Hub City Diner. It's a 50s diner. People thought I went off my rocker. I was this hotshot fine dining chef, and all of a sudden I was making mom's meatloaf and chicken fried steak and hub burgers, you know. And people are freaking out. I'm like, well, let me ask you, is that the best meatloaf you ever had? Yeah. Is that the best chicken fried steak you ever had? Yeah. Then shut up, for God's sakes, and eat it. So, man, there's so many, Don's downtown, Pat's in Henderson, the list just goes on and on of restaurants. You can go to LafayetteTravel.com if you're ever in Lafayette, and they have a whole list of places where you can eat. But I'd say Don's downtown, which has been in existence since like 1929, something crazy like that. The Landry family.
Try it.
Huh?
Try it. Try it.
Oh, try it. Yeah, let's try it. See if it. Any other questions? While this is simmering? Huh? Yeah. Oh, he can't have shrimp stock. He's allergic to shrimp.
It's tragic. It happened when I was like 20, so shucking shrimp. Barely lived that day, but.
Where's the salt? Not too shabby though. Not too shabby. I think let's use some red rooster this time. Any other questions? Comments? Yes, ma'am. I prefer Tabasco myself, personally. That's kind of what I grew up on. And but Crystal's out of New Orleans. They make a pretty good hot sauce. Louisiana hot sauce. But I'm kind of a Tabasco guy, from way back. It's right there in outside of Lafayette on Avery Island. It uses 3 ingredients: the Tabasco peppers, Avery Island salt, and 100 grain white vinegar. It's a real simple. They age the mash in oak barrels, and so it's just a real simple process, and I just love the flavor of it. The following was a paid political announcement for Tabasco, in case y'all were wondering. So everybody, how many people have phones? Okay, so everybody, get your phone out and go to Facebook. Instagram, at KJN Chef. But I want you to go and like the Louisiana Seafood Promotion Board's web page and tell them how great I've been, okay? It's basically what I'm trying to get y'all to do. What a great representative. Thank you. Thank you for the applause. Give me more. Hey, is somebody booing out there? Made that band louder today. I don't know if y'all can see that, but man, that is looking pretty good. So we're gonna add some green onions and parsley. Give it a little bit of color. A little bit of flavor. I use the flat leaf Italian parsley. And just in case y'all wondering, I am using Louisiana crawfish tail. Real Louisiana crawfish tail. I tried to have the Chinese shipped in, but they wouldn't. The boat took too long. You can go to chefpatrickmould.com. I have a ton of other recipes. You can follow me on Facebook at Chef Patrick Moulds Cooking Up a Good Life. Again, I encourage you to go to louisianatravel.com if you ever want to come to Louisiana, and LafayetteTravel.com, and make sure you go over there and register for that free trip to Lafayette anytime you want to come. Got a ladle? Yeah. I want to thank y'all for y'all's time and attention. I appreciate y'all coming out on a Sunday.
Appreciate it.
Y'all having a good time? Are y'all having a good time at Gator by the Bay? All right. Let me see. Who am I going to pick? The gentleman in the white hair. I got a little gray myself in the cap, okay? Wait, one right behind you, sir. The guy, wave, right there, the guy in the green cap, wave at me. Yeah, there you go. Here's what we're going to do, because there's going to be people that are going to wander up. Y'all been sitting here all day. Oh, not all day, but for the last hour, paying very close attention. Anybody comes behind you, sir, you're going to be laughing. Now, we're going to have some crawfish for you. Don't worry about it. If anybody comes behind you, you tell them, hey, man, I think I'm the last one. Sorry. I'm the last guy. He said, you know, it's going to run out after me. There's not going to be any more. Because they're going to be like 20, 30 people right behind you that just going to show up and think they can get crawfish etouffee. And what are we going to tell them? What are we going to tell them? Yeah. Either show up for class or don't show up at all. Again, thank y'all very much. And we're going to start serving some etouffee. Yeah. Wow.